I'm Mercedes Rodríguez. I come from Spain, and I'm talking about building actions for Google Assistant. I'm a chatbot and voice assistance developer, and I'm also Google Developer Expert for Assistant. Today, we are going to give just a briefing. It's like we have a short time. Usually this needs a long workshop of around an hour and a half or so. So I'm going to make just a very basic introduction, okay? So let's start. The first thing we need to know is what is an action. So actions are third-party voice agents integrated into Google Assistant. I'm sure that most of you knows the well-known assistants like Google Assistant, Alexa, Siri, Bixby. Most of them has like other third-party agents, and we can access to those agents through these generalist assistants. In the case of Google Assistant, those third-party agents are called actions, and to access to them, we just need to say, okay, Google, talk to, and the name of the action. Imagine that here, instead of action 1, action 2, action 3, we have like different company names. So we could say, okay, Google, talk to Tesco. Okay, Google, talk to Uber or whatever. And what can the actions do? Well, if you know chatbots, it's quite similar, but with voice. They can give any kind of information. You can, they can take orders and perform transactions. They can teach about any topic. They can offer entertainment like games and things like that. And they can be applied in many sectors. As you can see here, well, the best well-known are customer service, but recently we can also find them in e-commerce and any kind of sales, banking, universities, administration, all this. For example, right now in the time we are living with COVID crisis, chatbots and voice assistants show it very useful for administration, because many people were calling to the health services and emergencies at the same time, and the phones collapsed. So having an artificial intelligence that answer in these cases, it's scalable, and it can solve most of the repetitive questions, like around 70% or 80% of any topic or any questions that receive the companies are always the same. So if you have an artificial intelligence that responds all this, then your human resources can be available for more complex questions. If we click here, yeah. Here is a directory where you can check all the actions that are available. Once that an action is in production, you can find it here. You see there are a lot of them, and you can find them also classified by topic. For example, you can search here. Let's search for this one, for example, this Tesco. This is a shopping one. You can buy groceries, and you just could need to say, okay, Google, ask Tesco to add cheese on offer, or okay, Google, talk to Tesco, and we would have access to that action. Okay. Now that we have clear what is an action and what they can do, how can we develop an action? Okay, the first thing is not starting to code. Most of the programmers, when they want to create a conversational agent, they just go to the documentation of any tool and start to see all the code that they have to do. Okay, when you are creating a conversational agent, design is really important. Before starting coding, you need to design your agent. So creating a persona is the first step. You have to think that your users or clients are talking with your action. So it's closer to them if they have a character that they can interact with. So the best thing we can do is create a character, choose a name, what age is going to have our character, what gender, what kind of personality is going to show, and also the language style, if it's going to talk in a more formal way or informal way. And this is very important that this character has to be according to our brand and our users. If our users are young people, then the character can talk in a more informal way. But if it's, for example, a conversational agent for a law firm, it should talk in a more formal way. And also the image, it's important. Once we have the persona, the next thing is designing the dialogues. It's very important to have clear what our action is going to be able to answer. We have to define the reach of the conversation, and also make clear this to the client or the user, so they are not asking for other things that our action cannot answer, because otherwise the user is going to get frustrated. So we have to define well the reach, and then design the structure of all the dialogues. We usually start with the ideal path, and then design all. We have to think in all the alternative paths, because the user not always says what we are expecting to. So we have to think far away and think what else he or she could say at any time. So first we have a welcome message. Usually the character in the welcome message just present itself and give information about what can do and what can answer. So in this case, you see an example. Hi, I'm your TFS assistant. I can give you information about this and this and this, location, schedule, and tracks. How can I help you? So the user knows that he can ask for any of these three things, not others. Well, and once that we have designed our agent, we have a character, we know exactly everything that he can talk to about, then we can start to develop the agent. We are going for developing actions, we are going to use two main tools. One of them is Actions on Google, and the other one, Dialogflow. In Actions on Google, we are going to configure all the settings for the action. We have a simulator where we can test our action. We also make the deployments for there. We can consult analytics about how users use our action. And also we have to fill all the information for the directory we saw before. And in the Dialogflow tool, we just create all the conversational experience. Dialogflow is an NLP system. NLP is for natural language processing, and it also has machine learning. And with that, we can build all the dialogues. Well, if we are going to build an action, we need to understand how it works in its internal architecture. So here you can see like a scheme. We have the user on the left that just start a conversation saying, okay, Google, talk to, and the name of the action. It says that to a device with Google Assistant integrated. So the Google Assistant just turns the speech into text and send it to Dialogflow. And in Dialogflow, Dialogflow sends back the welcome answer that that has specified. So the user knows what the action can do, and then asks something. And when he or she asks something, that speech is converted to text again, and then the natural language processing works and finds the appropriate answer that it has in its system. And it can has just a direct answer, or maybe it needs to, if we have a dynamic answer for that question, then it should go to our backend. The backend in this case is a webhook that we can have in any place. Okay, the most usual is that it's in Google Cloud Platform, but you can have it in another webhook like your own servers, or even Amazon Web Services, Heroku, any one. And if it needs to consult any database, then we could consult the database from there, extract the data we need to form the answer, and then Dialogflow would send it back to the user again. Well, so now we are going to build a very simple one. The first thing you have to do is give some permissions. We have to check our Google permission settings and see that they are correct. This, you only have to do it the first time. Then if you already have the permissions, it's okay. What you have, well, this is going to appear to you in Spanish because I have configured my Google account in this language, but basically it's the part that says web and applications activity, web and app activity. So this toggle has to be activated, and the two options related to it as well. If you don't know how to arrive here, it's in your Google account. You just go to the settings of the Google account and data and activity controls. Here, web and app activity. This has to be activated. Okay. Once that we've done this, the next step is creating Dialogflow and actions on Google project. So we go to the Actions console. I'm going to show you how to arrive there. So when you are doing it, you just have to put Actions console in Google. And it's there. So once you are in the Actions console, just have to create a new project. You put a name of a project, whatever you want, like Women Tech Conference. Well, just Women Tech, it's okay. You choose the language here and the country or region. I'm leaving it like this now. Here you could assign a topic, but instead of that, we just go down and go to conversational to build a customized conversational experience. There are also templates. If you want to build something very specific and there is a template for it, you can use this. For example, there is a template for trivia games. So you could just go here and using Google Sheets, you can create a trivia game like in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. In this case, we are going to see how to create a custom experience. Okay, this is the actions on Google platform, the Action console. And as you can see, we have a develop part, a test, deploy, and analytics. This is what I told you before, what we could do with the Actions console. What we are going to do now is develop, so we can decide how our action is invoked. Here we could put the name for our action. Now I'm going to leave it like that because we are just making a test app. But here you would put the name and you could choose the voice also. There are some default voices, 2 for female and 2 for male. And once we choose this, we go to the actions and build your first action. And here we choose the custom option and press build. This opens the Dialogflow console, and we are now in the next step, that is create a Dialogflow agent. So we just choose a name. We can put the same. It doesn't matter, the name we put here is just the name for the project. It's not the production name. We have to choose the language again and the default time zone. I'm leaving it like that right now. And here I select the project I had in Actions on Google and then press create. This creates a conversational agent in Dialogflow. And the first we see is the intents section. We have 2 sections here that are very important, intents and entities. An intent basically is an interaction with the user. When the user says something and Dialogflow gives the answer, our conversational agent gives the answer. That would be an intent. And entities are the concepts. We need our conversational agent to understand different concepts. For example, if it's an agent for a clothing shop, we need our agent to understand the different clothes like jeans or t-shirts or whatever. We need our agent to understand the sizes, small, medium, large, and we need our agent to understand colors, for example. So when a user says, I want to buy a white t-shirt in medium size, our conversational agent can extract those parameters, white as a color, t-shirt as a cloth, and medium as a size, and send them to our backend so we can look for all the information we have on that and just show them what we have. So there are entities that we can build our own entities, but also Dialogflow has some entities that are already configured. For example, the dates. If the user says, I'm going to tomorrow, Dialogflow is going to understand tomorrow as a date entity, and it's going to send the date of tomorrow to our backend. So this is great because we don't need to build many of the things. And intents, when we start, we have 2 default intents, the fallback one and the welcome intent. The welcome intent is where we configure our welcome message, and the fallback intent is the one that is going to be triggered when our agent hasn't got any answer for what the user is asking for. So if we go into this, you can see the answers. Here is the response section, and you can see I didn't get that. Can you say that again? Or I missed what you said. What was that? And all that. If you have many answers, like you see here, Dialogflow just show a different answer anytime. It chooses a random one and just show anyone. So This could be our welcome intent. It's got an event welcome. Events allow us to trigger any intent from the backend, from the code. In this case, since it has a welcome event, this is the intent that is going to be triggered when the Google Assistant calls to our agent. Here we can add training phrases. The training phrases are the phrases that you put in an intent, so when the user says something similar to that training phrases, this is the intent that is going to be triggered. So since it's a welcome intent, we can put like hello or hi there, hey yeah, all that. So if the user says hello, this intent is going to be triggered. And it's got some default responses. Hi, how are you doing? Hello, how can I help you? Da, da, da. Okay, we are going to delete this and add our own greeting. So we can say, hi, I'm, if our character is called Mary, for example, I'm Mary from Women Tech Network. And then here I should put what our action can talk about. Like I could give you information about the talks of our events or the speakers or whatever. In this case, we are going to build an action that is very basic and just ask you for your favorite color. And when the user says the color, we just give them their lucky number depending on the color. So I'm asking, what's your favorite color? And we save this. Here in the right, we have like a console to try it. So if I say hi or hello, we get the answer. Hi, I'm Mary from Women Tech Network. What's your favorite color? We can see also what intent was the one that was triggered, default welcome intent. And we could try this as well in the Actions console. If we go to the test section, we can use the simulator, and with this, we can try it with sound. So I can say, talk to my test app.
Let's get the test version of my test app. I'm Mary from Women Tech Network. What's your favorite color?
I'm not sure if you can hear it, but it just said in loud voice right now. It said, hi, I'm Mary from Women Tech Network. What's your favorite color? So now I could answer, like my favorite color is whatever. If I do this, it's not working now because we just have a welcome intent right now in our conversational agent. So if I say my favorite color is red,
can you say that again?
It says, can you say that again? If we go to here, we can see that what the answer that gave was the fallback. We have here, can you say that again? Okay, so the fallback intent just responded. So if we want our agent to answer to this, we have to create a new intent to get the color. We call it favorite color. That's the name for the intent. We need to add some training phrases as well, like my favorite color is purple. Oh, I can put just pink. I love yellow. Here I have to put any phrase that I can imagine that the user can use. You see that the colors are highlighted. This is because Dialogflow has a a system entity for colors, so I do not have to create an entity for colors, a custom entity. I can use the system one. Here I have the parameter name, the name of the entity, and this. And here I can say to Dialogflow that I want that this parameter was required. So if the user says just, for example, I don't know my favorite color, but it's not giving me any color at all, I can ask for it. So I put it as required and define a prompt that the agent is saying, like, what's your favorite color? I can define 3, like, you have to tell me a color to give you an answer. Please tell me your favorite color. If the user doesn't give me the color, then the conversation would end after several times. And I save this. Okay, I'm not putting any responses here in the response section, because I don't want to give just one answer. Depending on the color that the user is saying, I'm going to give a dynamic response. So for that, I have to go to the fulfillment and activate my webhook. I could activate the webhook here. If I do it, then I just have to put the address for my webhook. Now we are going to use the inline editor. It's okay, it's asking me for activating the billing. Well, I'm not going to do this now. And what I'm going to do is I have another agent already done. So here we have the favorite color intent that we've created. And in the fulfillment, I just have to replace the code that was there with the one I'm going to use. You can find many codes of this here in the GitHub of Actions on Google. All the Code Labs codes are here. In this case is the level 1, and we could have to the functions and take the index code. So we would need to copy this code into the agent. It's already copied now, as you can see. And once you've done this, you have to press the button deploy. If we see the code, what we are doing basically is adding the Actions on Google library, then the Firebase functions package. This is used for deployment. And this is where we give the answer for our intent. We just use app intent and put the name of the intent that is going to be this answer for. We have a conversational object, and here the name of the parameter that we are receiving. In this case, the name of our parameter was color. And what we are doing is taking the length of the color and the number of characters that the name of the color has, and then giving an answer that says your lucky number is, and that number. We use for that come close. Come close, what it does is gives this answer and ends the conversation. If I don't want to end the conversation, I could use come ask. com.ask. In this case, I'm just ending, so com.close. And then I have to go to my intent, favorite color, and specify that I want the answer to come from the fulfillment. So instead of putting the response here, as I did before, I have to come down to the fulfillment part and activate this toggle, enable webhook call for this intent. So when a user says any of this, like my favorite color is green, and enters here in the favorite color intent, the webhook is activated, so it's going to go to the fulfillment part and go to that code and make the operation and give the information back. So now that we have this, we are going to try this in the Google Assistant. And I say, talk to my test app.
Let's get the test version of my test app. Welcome, I'm Anna, and I'm here to show you how to create an action. What is your favorite color?
Black.
Your lucky number is 5.
You see that gives the answer, your lucky number is 5, and says my test app left the conversation. So if we are in a phone with Google Assistant, it just, the action ends the conversation, and you can talk again with the Google Assistant. Someone is asking me to put this link in the chat, so I'm gonna do it. Okay, that's the GitHub chat, and I can put you as well the code lab. This is the code lab. I'm going to put also the code lab. Okay, this is what I've just done. So you can see the code lab at home with Calm and just go in all the steps and see everything, since how it works, the setup, how to create the intents and all that, okay, with all the steps and explanations. And we've seen the first 3 steps. The next steps would be the deploy. We would go here in the Actions console to the deploy part, and we need to fill all the information for the action to do the deploy. And the other part could be the training, and that's here in Dialogflow in the training section, that you can see all the conversations that we had with the action. And if the answer is fine, we can just approve it. And if not, we can correct it and say to our conversational agent that the answer was not wrong and correct it, so the next time it will answer fine. And that's all. You've just see how to create your first action. And if you have any questions now. Integrations with other apps, limitations. Okay, integrations. Dialogflow has integrations with many other apps. If you go here to the integrations part, you have a lot of them. Besides of Google Assistant, you can integrate Dialogflow. Well, you can integrate it with phone gateways. There are several ones, so the users could call to a phone number and talk to our action. But also You can integrate it in Facebook Messenger, Beaver, Twitter, Slack, whatever. You can see all the integrations here. If you want to do a web integration, you would need to develop your own integration and just call to the Dialogflow API from there. Yeah, can we embed this with Google Home? Yeah, sure. This is especially for Google Home, what I've just explained. The actions are available in any device where Google Assistant is available. So you could have access to the action from any smart speaker with Google Assistant, like Google Home, Home Mini, or the Nest Hub, the smart screen. You can have access to it from any Android phone, most of them. Also iOS phone if the user installs the application, the Google Assistant application. And well, headphones. Yeah, any device where Google Assistant is available, the user can access to the action without installing anything at all. Any more questions? We have 2 minutes yet. Okay, some of you are asking my LinkedIn. And does knowledge beta function use natural language search? Does it use keyword search to retrieve answers? Good knowledge function work for fact contents? Okay, for fact contents, yes, the knowledge base is good for fact contents because you can just import all the facts and create a knowledge base with that. But I wouldn't recommend it very much for a voice assistant because the interesting with actions is that the users can talk in a natural way with the agent. It's like that, like you're at home resting in your sofa and just say, okay, Google, I want to know, I want to talk with the cinema action. And you start to speak to the cinema action and ask, what do you have today? And what about 7? And just buy the ticket from there. Or I want to talk to Uber to get a ride. And the conversation has to be fluent. So if you just take the facts, everything up, it's not going to be fluent. It's just like having a website. Another question about privacy and security is Google standard. Yeah. For example, if you have the backend in Google Cloud Platform, then you have all the security for Google Cloud Platform. And also for the ones who are in Europe, it's GDPR compliance. So that's great. But you have to be aware that all the conversations go to Google services. So, well, yeah, we are on time. Thank you very much for joining me in this talk, and hope that it liked you and open up a little bit your knowledge on this.